You're not gonna believe this, guys. Left my chapstick over there.
Oh, fuck.
I don't even want to put that in. Like, that's just too much chapstick.
I'm waiting for him to break out like the novelty-sized chapstick one day, where just his whole face, or just a fistful of Vaseline over the whole face.
I don't want to do this anymore. Now I know how you feel all the time.
Every day.
Welcome back to I'll See Myself Out. I'm Dan Lisho.
I'm Ryan Patel.
I'm Terry.
And I'm Norm.
Consider these your only warnings.
There will be foul language.
There will be spoilers.
And there's going to be much more foul language.
Like a lot more.
Don't step on my toes.
This week we're talking about Bloodshot, starring Vin Diesel and a bunch of other people. And we're going to be discussing the best and worst scenes. The plot for this story is Vin Diesel runs around tearing down buildings with his bare hands. The real twist in the plot is when the legion of contractors rise up to exact their revenge.
There's definitely a lot of unnecessary destruction in this movie. I shouldn't say unnecessary.
It's all necessary.
There's a generous amount.
I want to start with the scene that caused me the most anxiety, which was when he started using the cement pillar as a punching bag on the 67 or 76th floor of a fucking building. There's no way that's structural support. Let's just punch it.
You know what's really funny about this is that when that scene came on, I was actually thinking subconsciously, Norm is probably really stressed out about this right now.
I whispered to myself, that's a support beam. And then Norm just gets like, I know.
Is that like a sign of age when you start worrying about the structural integrity of a set?
In a building with open concept, any beam that you see is not there for looks.
I wonder if this is a decorative cement pillar.
This next scene is when Vin Diesel blocks off a tunnel underneath with a truck full of flour and managed to not make it explode.
I forgot that actually is the scene that caused me the most anxiety.
During the battle, they're shooting out at him and he's rebuilding with his nanites, his creepy little spider things inside his veins. Picks up a guy who is already, I presume, dead, pulls a grenade pin out of him, sticks him against a bulletproof glass, uses him as a bomb shield, blows himself and the guy up just to get inside the car. First, how did the flour not explode into a massive detonation?
For the people at home, flour is flammable.
To paint the picture, the entire tunnel was littered, it was like a fog made of flour, and they were just lighting up flares. Not like it was the gunpowder we're worried about. The first thing they fucking did with all this flour in the air is light up like 5 flares.
Then go off with grenades. Now this grenade tears the guy apart, and then he kills him with a gun.
The other side of that to me was he had just finished double drop kicking a guy and literally destroying a car with his body. And I thought maybe he was just gonna pull one of the doors off or do something else reasonable.
I was in the same boat. I don't feel like he needed a grenade to get into that car.
The decision making for me in this movie on how they tried to illustrate what his character was capable of was really odd to me. Where he begins to kind of discover his abilities and the things he does initially at those points seems like way more powerful than some of the stuff he does later in the film. I don't know why he felt it was necessary to ambush them in an underground tunnel with a truck filled with flour. He's capable of finding them using satellites and can learn how to pilot an aircraft by downloading the information into his brain. So many of the scenes in this movie came out of the idea of how do we make this look really cool?
To me, felt like the entire scene was out of some sort of young boy's notebook of, I'm gonna make a superhero do this.
To be fair, I know so little about what this character comes from in terms of its creative background. So if people at home know more about this character, they can correct us on how critical we're being, go ahead. As unnecessary as some of those scenes were, or at least they looked really good.
The scene that I liked the least was when Sam Heughan busted out the mecha suit that was a crossover from Doc Ock and the Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man.
The scene that I actually quite liked, that I think was actually stupid, at the very end where his nanites are destroying the ball or that shell, that visually was really kind of cool. It kind of brought into that old X-Men Phoenix, her destroying a bomb externally.
I actually agree. That was my favorite visual scene, but also I was very confused as to how he was controlling the nanites to the point where it was doing things that wasn't healing him.
I think that goes with the programmer, who was, in my mind, the best character of the whole movie.
He was the saving portion of this movie to me.
That's my interpretation of it, is he changed the program.
I think it circles back the confusion in this moment to setting comprehensive guidelines as to what the character's limits and potential are. It would have been a much better story if he woke up and didn't really understand his capabilities or couldn't use all of his capabilities. What's kind of crazy to me is even his character seems to adjust so quickly to what's changed. He's not afraid of bullets at all. He can't believe that he was brought back to life, but he's super 100% ready to go running into shotgun blasts face first for the rest of the movie. movie.
I think that was what that actually honestly bothered me the most of it, because I don't care who you are. If you're trained for battle or for war, I'm pretty sure you're still gonna shit a brick when a bullet's coming at you.
I would have liked them to ease into it a bit. Still using his all of his skills and the tactical training that he's
Where
had.
the fuck was his military training during half of those scenes?
Also, did his pain receptors turn off?
No, actually, do you recall when they first bring him back, Guy Pearce's character cuts his hand? He was like, hey, what the hell, man? Like he was holding his hand like he was in pain. A fucking shotgun blast is at least gonna put you down for a minute while you like comprehend how much fucking pain goes into being shot in the face.
In the words of Bill Burr, you could probably take a BB gun to the elbow and you're gonna have to at least regroup.
Building on what you said about all the scenes that involve like actually trying to establish characters and stuff like that. So I thought, based on how the film was going, that with like the relationships he was building, especially with the other like enhanced soldiers around him, I thought there would be character arcs where eventually at the end of the movie, they were gonna become like a squad. All of the on-screen moments for like 90% of the characters that we saw were completely fucking pointless.
At the very least, I thought Toby Kebbell's character was going to flip a switch and be like, man, like you gone too far.
Right.
Because he looked like he was like on the cusp of it, and then he just died.
I think Vin Diesel took me out of this movie the most, especially in the moment where in the beginning of his like reoccurring day cycle when he comes back from that mission, the moment he takes off his uniform and goes to like pick up his girlfriend to hug her and he's in a white tank top, I thought this was going to be some like weird Fast and the Furious crossover dream state moment.
Some of this looked like it could have been Fast and the Furious like B-roll. Drew mashed up the trailer from Fast 9 with one of the lines of the movie. Vin Diesel in this movie is talking about how your past is behind you, and then I just jumped to the scene from the trailer where he says, and your past always catches up.
I don't think I blame him for performance reasons. I think some of it was just poor writing, like poor line usage during some of the scenes, and poor character development, just because a lot of it just seemed to be centered around how do we explain how cool his character can look in different scenes.
My favorite scene is what we labeled as one of the worst scenes, is when he was looking at a support beam and decided to turn it into a punching bag.
Trained soldier who conceivably is trained in some form of demolition. The types of missions that he seems to go on are like search and destroy. Okay. So I would think that like destroying support columns is in his vocabulary.
Maybe he did know. Maybe he knew that one was going to be fine because there's 6 others. The Fast and the Furious car chase at the end was pretty good. When the guy's on he's on the motorcycle and ripping through the city. For me, my favorite part of the movie was the special effects. I've been dabbling with special effects in the program After Effects. So seeing like the glowing skin and how the nanites were kind of heating up under there, and it just kind of made me want to go home and fire up After Effects to see if I can pull it off with one of your faces. I might do a tutorial video depending on whether or not you guys show some interest.
So now that we've kind of discussed the things that we did or didn't like about this movie, what could have fixed this movie to make it better?
More Wiggins. In my mind, he was the comic relief and what saved the movie.
I think that this movie should have had a bit more time in the writing room.
It's too bad because they had such like clearly really good designers and artists working on this movie. Even like the combat scenes between like the enhanced soldiers were like pretty believable and well done. I would agree most with Norm is like they put so much time into making this movie look great, but it's like how much money and time could they have saved if they just did the writing a little bit more concise or better?
He went from I died, I'm a normal soldier, an exceptional soldier, and then just had all of these abilities without having any kind of journey to discovering how far he can push his body.
Can we just talk about very briefly the relationship between Vin Diesel and like his, I presume, girlfriend? And the only scene where they meet up again later in the film, the scene lasts like maybe like a minute and a half, and it's just an awkward, confusing, depressing exchange instead of like her character feeling seemingly anything for this guy or him like expressing anything other than like disappearing for some reason, like fucking Batman the moment she turns around.
Found some evidence. I did.
I thought that was almost like for a laugh. She would look down the alley and he's just slowly walking.
There was honestly a lot of comic relief in poorly placed locations.
Unintentional comic relief almost.
So I think some of it was intentional, but like it was just like
Right.
enough to take you out of a moment you shouldn't have been taken out of, and I think that would have went some way in keeping you engaged in the story.
Any of you folks at home have had the chance to see Bloodshot yet? Let us know in the comments if you like the movie or not, and what you would change if you could make it better to more to your liking.
Now, what would you rate this movie out of?
On a scale from 1 to full structural integrity, I would say 1 cracked beam out of 10.
I'll give it 400 million nanites out of a possible 1 billion nanites.
I would rate this movie 5 out of 10 unnecessary white tank tops.
I was gonna give it 6 botched resurrections out of 10 Woody Harrelsons.
I heard botched erections. How do you botch an erection?
Here. She's like, oh, it's time. Oh, my knee. Oh, no. Oh, no, the wrong thing is stiff.
Everything is good when it's stiff.
You should see yourself out.
I'll see myself out.
I'd like to thank our sponsors, Brock Street Espresso, for having us back again. It's nice to be here. Thank you for giving us a roof and some walls.
They make delicious seasonal drinks, as Ryan's pointed out before.
Join us next week when we talk about Pet Cemetery.
And I shit my pants. I'll see myself out again.
Toby!
I think I made a joke like you need a support group.
Woody Harrelson support group? Yeah. It'd just be me in a dark corner with a picture.
Just every variant of Woody except for Woody Harrelson. They got Woody Woodpecker, Woody Guthrie.
And it's just like 10 chairs, you, and then the person helping.
The person you've kidnapped to be Woody Harrelson that day. They have like this cutout, but you can see tears streaming down their cheeks.
What the fuck?
Crudely taped on like magazine cutout over their face.
I'm Terry.
No, you're doing it all wrong. You're doing it all wrong.